Hello, welcome back to another Pen Talk. Thank you very much for tuning in, for starting the new year with joining me in my exploration of the wide world of pens. And I've been referred to sometimes as a pen influencer, and I enjoy what I do, and if other people enjoy it, I think that's great. So a little bit ago, I made a video of a catalog I got from the Fountain Pen Hospital. And last week, Terry called me from the Fountain Pen Hospital and said they were very happy with the video that I did, and they'd like to send me a little gift for appreciation. And I said, great, I'd love to receive it. So this is the pen. Beautiful packaging. I didn't expect that. So we're going to open this up, take a look at the pen. I want to say thank you to Fountain Pen Hospital. I don't expect to receive anything when I do my videos. I do them because I enjoy doing them, and I feel I have something to share with you, my viewers. So now we're going to be able to share with you a pen. And this is a pen that I do not have, a pen from a maker. I don't have a pen from them, so it's going to be a fun video. So inside of that wonderfully wrapped package was this pen. Yes, it's a Pilgrim Purple with a medium nib. My choices were fine or medium. Nice classic white box. If we slide off the outer sleeve, we'll see another one of those embossed emblems. Kind of like a metallic blue color there. Hopefully it's coming out. White is a common theme here. Magnetic closure. We open it up and we see the pen includes some cartridges, and I thought this was a manual, but it looks like it's just it's just embossed, a little fun little thing. Nice packaging, good sized pen, nice cellophane sleeve, and we'll look at the pen. First thing we'll notice about the pen, it has a decent weight, not too heavy, not too light. This is a Fountain Pen Hospital exclusive, this purple resin. Pilgrim is a model that LaBoeuf has been making for a while. And here's their website. Here's a little description of their history. And here's a description of the Pilgrim model. On the website, a lot of the colors are sold out. So I'm really glad to have gotten this one. My first modern LaBoeuf. Nice engraving there in the acrylic at the bottom. Nice 3 bands. Functional clip. Top finial. Bottom finial. Obviously, this doesn't unscrew. This is nice resin. Kind of like a cracked ice design. The cap comes off in a little bit over 1 turn, so that's nice. And we'll see a nice branded nib. They say these are German iridium. And it has a nice logo on it, and that M for medium is quite easy to see. We flip it around, we'll see your standard injection molded plastic feed. Nice section. The pen fits well in the hand. It feels light as it is here. And for the design, it does post deeply and securely. Adds some decent weight to the pen. Back weights it a little bit, but I think it actually feels better in the hand with that weight of the cap. But as you know, I generally don't post my pens, and this fits okay without posting, which is good. The section unscrews to reveal just a basic converter. And as we saw, you got cartridges in there also if you wanted to do that. Now this is a really basic converter, nothing special there, but I'm certain it'll work fine. You know, that little ball in there to agitate the ink, or I think it's its purpose. So we're going to find a suitable ink, and I think I have a nice purple in mind that are going to go into this pen and see how it writes. So Chris, do you have any vintage LaBoeufs? And I would say, yes, I have one. And it's a quite pretty pen. Supposedly these are all celluloid. And if we look at my identification here. See, it's LaBoeuf. I've cleaned it up. It doesn't have a pressure bar inside, so that's why that lever just kind of floats freely there, because a pressure bar would be holding it up. The cap comes off with, again, a little over 1 turn, and we'll see a nice gold nib. It's a number 4 on it, and it's labeled, which is always nice. Springfield, Mass. is where they were from. That section is loose. I mean, this pen would require a decent amount, but is in good shape and would probably warrant restoration, but that's for another day. So we have a darkened room. It's rainy outside, so there's not much sunlight. So we'll see how this pen looks in a different light, but we've darkened it to bring in the LED and play it across the resin. And let's look inside the cap, because that's always good to see how that was done. Look inside, we'll see a very big ledge, which is good, sealed up against the bottom of the section. A very small area there for the nib to be in. And it looks like that finial might be glued in place. It may be threaded. It doesn't unscrew, so it's not going to happen. And if we go inside and do some x-ray work, we'll see that nice cracked ice pattern show up. Interesting resin. I think it's done very well. So we have the strobe effect going on with my wonky switch on this LED light. So I haven't shown a flushing recently. So the nib unit unscrews. I guess I could identify if it's anyone in particular. Could be a Schmidt, but not certain. And here's that bulb syringe that I use. Fits nice and tight around that section. We dip it into this soapy water mix that I have here. Nothing special, just a few drops of liquid detergent. Squeeze some air out. Let it draw up some of that soapy water, and then when it's all drawn up, I expel it. So the first thing I notice is that flow is not real good, but this syringe doesn't quite fit well, but I think that's a good way of cleaning it out. And then I'll also do a flush with just plain water, and then we'll put it back in the pen ready to ink it up. So after doing the flush, I decided to pull out the nib and feed, because that's really how you can get a very, very thorough cleaning. And it pulled out very easily. A lot of times after doing that flush, the soapy water kind of acts like a lubricant and lets you pull out the nib and feed easily. And that is a number 6 size nib, and the feed is 6 millimeters in diameter, as we would expect. So obviously I'm going to go for one of my trommel inks. This is a nice purple, and has some nice purple glitter in it. I have it into a glittering ink phase right now, and I have a lot of them to use. I have a bunch more on my way from China. So here we are with some size comparisons, and the closest purple resin I could get in this Kaiglu 316. Here's an M800 and a Pilot Metropolitan. The LaBoeuf is certainly not a small pen. It certainly fits in well with these larger pens. Let's uncap them. So here we are uncapped, and it still holds its own. That section is quite beefy, which I happen to like. Let's zoom in a little bit closer and look at the variety of nibs we have. The LaBoeuf number 6 nib certainly holds its own. Definitely see that generous tipping material on the end. Extra fine here in the Kaiglu, nice two-tone nib. And of course your Pelican nib, say no more, and a diminutive Metropolitan nib. Look a little bit closely how those sections compare, and you can see how beefy that section is on the LaBoeuf Pilgrim. We'll see if we can catch some of that glitter. It's not an intense glitter, it's fairly subtle. So I would call this a very wet ink. You can see some feathering there on this Fabriano paper. And I think that's due to a combination of a very wet nib and also a very wet ink. Look at that Exxon exclusive. So Fabriano paper does seem to vary. The pages aren't as consistent as Rhodia or Clairefontaine, but I like it because it has some nice texture to it. And that purple ink from Trommel, I think, is a great color. So I figured these three pens would make an interesting quick comparison. So here's an SD oversized, and it is slightly longer than the LaBoeuf, but similar girth dimensions. A very nice oversized pen, which I enjoy writing with, like I enjoy the LaBoeuf. And here's the Phil Cow, which isn't a small pen, but certainly in this family, it certainly looks smaller. This is supposedly celluloid, and it does have a different feel than the acrylic. It's hard to really describe. It's almost like a warmer kind of feeling you get from ebonite or hard rubber. And it just has a different type of surface to it. But I like all three of these pens, enjoy writing with them. Hey, I like my pens, I like my collection. So now we're ready for some editorial comments. Here are the pen dimensions. That section is really nice and girthy, and I like it for that reason, and a nice flare out at the end. So this pen feels good when you pick it up. I'd call it a medium weight. The cap comes off fairly quickly, which is always nice. It fits good in the hand, as we talked about. It posts, as we talked about. So this is a Fountain Pen Hospital exclusive. Here's what their website looks like. And I think it's a great website if you like to shop. They have a phenomenal collection, a lot of exclusives. I hadn't known about this Visconti dual touch pen before. Interesting description. They also have a back room, which you can find some very interesting pens. Here's some examples. So check it out. You got nothing to lose. And you might find a great pen to enjoy. So speaking of enjoying a great pen, let's do some live writing and we'll wrap it up. As you can see, the nib has a little springiness to it, which is always very good. This is about one of the smoothest nibs I've written with recently. To me, it's almost too smooth. I like a little more feedback in my nib, but many people enjoy a really smooth nib, and this certainly is one of those. And this ink works well, and I mentioned it's a wet ink. In this Fabriano paper, you might get a little feathering here and there, as you can see right there. But on this paper, sometimes you get places in this Fabriano paper where it's not quite as well coated, and then that will allow that paper to absorb more ink and potentially feather. But that's the fun of fountain pens. They're analog instruments. They have some variety to them. And you got ink, you got paper, you got nib. And those three can vary day to day, time to time. Makes your writing interesting. So we've reached the end of this video. I'd like to thank all of you for watching. I hope this video finds everyone safe, healthy, and happy, having time to enjoy your pens, writing, sketching, doodling. It's all fun to do. And I enjoy making lines. So this is the end of this video. We're going to say bye. Until the next video, I have a lot lined up for 2023. Stay tuned.